Hey everybody, welcome to the Fire It Up with CJ show. Today we're talking to Dewey Meyer and we're going to be talking about the Chinese New Year and how and energies generally and how to bring in the Chinese New Year Chinese style, I guess. In which I find is completely ironic that I'm talking a Chinese person talking to a non-Chinese person. I assume you're not Chinese, is that right, Dewey?
I'm not.
Asking you about how do Chinese people celebrate New Year's. I think I know how my family celebrated, but tell me a little bit about this year in general and how Chinese people celebrate Chinese New Year's.
Well, the reason why I really wanted to talk about this is because today is Chinese New Year's
Yes.
as we're recording this show.
Yes,
So
Happy
I'm
New
really
Year's.
excited. Happy New Year's. And so I'm really excited to be here and be able to do that. And what my interest is in that is that when I looked at the traditions that the Chinese use for their New Year's, I realized they were all about energy.
Hmm.
So that really got my interest because I'm really very interested in how energy works, how it's exchanged, and what people can do to bring in better energy.
Hmm.
And when I look at all the traditions of that the Chinese or the Asians, all the Asians really
Yeah.
use, what behind them, it's all about energy.
Mm.
So Chinese New Year's coming up to it, they're very uh, they focus very much on cleaning their house, clearing
Hmm.
away old energy,
Hmm.
stale energy, anything that's left from last year that is not conducive to bringing into the new year.
Hmm.
So you'll clean your house and you'll get behind the furniture where things you usually don't get. You'll do your spring
Yes,
cleaning
yeah, good.
to really clean out we have our dust bunnies, which are the physical dirt, and then there's energetic dust bunnies
Yeah.
that hang out in our houses, and they
Hmm.
usually collect in stagnant corners.
Mm.
So you really want to get into those corners. But that's really all cleaning your house is all about energy, and it's all about moving out the old stale energy
Hmm.
and bringing in the new. So
Hmm.
cleaning your house, cleaning your cars, also cleaning up your relations,
Mm.
making sure that if you have relations with people that are not as you would like them, or you
Hmm.
have amends to make, or something like that, that you take care of that before the New Year's because you don't want to
Hmm.
drag that discontentment into the new year. You want to
Right.
clean up your stuff before you move forward.
Yeah.
Um, so that type of thing. Also, they talk about financial debts. You clear financial debts before the new year.
Right.
So, but all of those things, the idea behind that is you do that so that your energy is clear and clean to
Right.
bring in the new year,
Right.
releasing the old, and you're creating space. You want to
Hmm.
create space for good energy to come in, for good
Hmm.
luck, good fortune, wealth, prosperity. All these things are very important. And so they very much focus on that. So on Chinese New Year's, which is today that we're recording this, you would be a holiday, a
Hmm.
total holiday. Generally, you do not work. You visit friends. So I'm
Hmm.
glad to be here visiting with you.
Yes, this isn't work. This is just visiting.
Exactly. Exactly. We're just here
Yeah.
visiting. So you would visit friends and you would also make sure that your thoughts
Hmm.
are held in a good place today.
Mm.
So again, I'm excited to be able to do this because it really is about holding your thoughts in a good place,
Hmm.
understanding energy, and being able to use it to your advantage. And
Hmm.
that's what Chinese New Year's is all about.
Interesting. And then when you look, this is the year of the sheep.
It
And
is.
I didn't realize that there are astrological readings for Chinese astrological readings as well as, I'm familiar with astrological readings for, let's say, 2015 that you would do in kind of I guess it's a Greek version of it. But tell me about the
Right. Right.
Chinese astrology and what it says and how they compare, because you do both, right? Chinese and,
Well,
um,
I looked at both. I'm
uh-huh.
not actually an astrologer. I just work with energy. But I
Yeah.
found that when a lot of my clients are coming in with
Yeah.
the same kind of problems,
Trends. Yeah.
exactly, there's a trend. I usually look to astrology and say, why is this trend happening? And is this
Oh.
bigger than me? Because we tend
Mhm.
to think we feel something, it must be about me. I have to fix it.
Mhm.
And what I find a lot of the times is it's way bigger than we are. And
Mm.
so a lot of times I'll even, let people know this is bigger than you. Just sit back, relax. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to fix it. It's just the bigger energy that's around us right now that is stirring up things inside of us or that
Mhm.
is causing, us to clear the decks. And it
Mhm.
may not feel that good, but it's time
Mhm.
to do it.
Yeah.
So in Chinese astrology, it is the year of the ram or the year
Mhm.
of the sheep.
Mhm.
And it is very this year the sheep, it kind of goes with the quality of those animals. So
Hmm.
this year in the year of the sheep, it's really about the sheep like to be in community. They
Oh.
like to be in community. They
Mm-hmm.
don't like a lot of upheaval. So they want to create stability.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the astrologers in Chinese astrology are talking about a little bit more stability in our economy, a
Hmm.
little bit more stability in our lives that we'll see through this year than we have in the last 2 years, which was the year of the horse and the year of the dragon.
Oh, wow.
So, yes,
Yeah, a lot
and
of
it's been
turbulence.
a lot of turbulence. So the sheep really is, he very much wants to create a status quo, wants to take down the walls and build the bridges.
Hmm.
So this year is really about community as
Hmm.
far as Chinese
Mm-hmm.
astrology goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Chinese astrology really goes like this is a lunar holiday. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Chinese New Year's is a lunar holiday. So it goes with the lunar cycles as opposed to the Caucasian, I guess you would say, or the
Western, yeah.
Western
Yeah.
Western holiday of New Year's goes with the sun cycles.
Oh,
The
I didn't realize
Chinese New
that.
Year's goes with the
Interesting.
moon cycles. That's why their New Year's can land anytime between the end of January and the middle of February. So it's really late this year, actually.
Right.
But it can
Interesting.
come anytime in there because it actually goes with the cycles of the moon.
And how does it coordinate with the moon then? So it's looking at how many cycles before it continues into the new year. I don't understand what a moon cycle looks like.
Well, the moon cycle is usually 13 cycles. And
Ah, okay. So we wait till 13 full moons come, and then it's the new year.
I believe that's how that
Interesting.
works.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes,
Wow. Okay.
it's
Got it.
very interesting. And it's also the time of renewal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in Western astrology, when I went in and I compared the two, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what's going on with Western astrology? What's going on with Eastern astrology? How do they really meld? Do they
Yeah.
match up? And what I found is they really do. The
Mm-hmm.
Western astrologers are talking about a year. The last 2 years have been very tumultuous,
Mm-hmm.
very much a stirring up of emotions, things dropping away, things that didn't work were leaving us.
Mm-hmm.
And these next 2 years coming up will be much quieter.
Hmm.
It's going to quiet down a little bit. Westerners also talk about a little more stability in the economy coming
Mm-hmm.
in mid-year.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about also, it is a year though of revisioning, really expanding our visions,
Mm-hmm.
stepping out and really manifesting our visions. So
Mm.
that's what the Western astrologers are really talking about this year. So that's
Interesting.
really exciting to be able to
Yeah.
start actually moving forward. And it's not moving forward in cautiously. There's
Right.
going to be a little bit of turbulence. It's not,
Yeah.
all go, but it is move forward and
Yeah.
move forward at a steady pace and don't get discouraged.
Yeah.
Discouraged.
Yeah. So I want to loop back to one of the things that you said about moving in from the lunar 2014, I guess, to the
Yeah.
lunar 2015. And one of the things that you said is like leaving things, the general sense I got about, what you do as a new year arises is you leave a bunch of stuff behind and you move forward. Um, and when you and I were talking about before, you said you have some techniques, energetic techniques to go ahead and do that so that you're moving your energy forward. Can you share with us what some of those may be?
Well, there's a lot of different things you can do to shift your energy.
Hmm.
When I was talking about techniques, what I was really thinking about was a technique that I call unhook and connect.
Unhook and connect. Okay.
Right. And part of that is really unhooking from energies that are not beneficial to you
Mm-hmm.
and really connecting in to what I would call source energy, universal energy.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it whatever you want. You can
Mm-hmm.
hook into the sun,
Right.
or anything that you want.
Right.
It's not, it's secular.
Right.
So it's really unhooking from those unbeneficial energies. And what can happen is people can hook into your energy field and drain your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that really pulls your old energy. And it also hooks you into a relationship with them that you may not want to be in. And you may
Mm-hmm.
not understand why you get hooking into this cycle
Yeah.
with this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many times family members, of course, are always, up in this arena when I talk about it,
Right.
but or our partners or things like that. But a lot of times we'll also have this friend that is many times very dramatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You walk away and you are drained when
Mm-hmm.
you get done talking to them. You just feel like
Mm-hmm.
you need a nap.
Right.
Well, that you do. That
That's your cue. So if you feel like afterwards you're like, that was completely exhausting and I want to take a nap, probably the person drained your energy.
Exactly, exactly. And unknowingly,
Yeah.
we do this to each other. We're always swapping energy back and forth with each other, which can be very beneficial, and it's part of the human walk.
Yeah.
And we do that in a healthy way with our partners.
Yeah.
When one partner needs a little energy, the other partner steps up and supports them during their time of need.
Yeah.
And it's a back give and flow. Now, that's a healthy exchange of energy.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody who keeps coming in and they keep hooking into you and just pulling, pulling,
Hmm.
pulling, then that's unhealthy. And you want to unhook from them. You want to disconnect from them.
So how does one even know that you actually have someone hooked on to you? So in the interest of you're moving into the next year, we want to unhook and then connect to something higher. How do we know? So you gave one example of, gosh, it just feels like exhausting after being with them. Do you have some techniques or ways for people to kind of get a sense that there's a hook?
Yes, there's a couple of different ways. One is obviously to be more aware.
Hmm.
One, you have to know kind of what is your stuff. How do you feel? To be able to differentiate that when I leave this person or when this person is hooking into me, I get this particular sense. And the senses can be different for each person.
Hmm.
But in general, there's a draining of energy. You feel tired.
Hmm.
You will also, many times, if you're feeling hooked in, you might get a difference of emotions, right? You were fine
Hmm.
and now you feel angry. Why do you
Yes.
feel
I've
angry? And
had
you think
that.
it's yours,
Yeah.
but it's this very fierce and very fast anger.
Right.
That's probably not yours. Or you are with someone or you think of someone and you start
Mm.
feeling depressed. You start
Oh,
feeling
right.
low. You
Right.
might be picking up on their energy
Oh.
and hooking into their energy. And now you're reading that and you're starting to vibrate at their same rate and it's pulling you down. So I'm
Oh.
going to show you a technique to unhook, what I call
Okay.
unhook and connect. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So the theory behind this is that have you ever heard of cords, energetic cords?
Hmm.
Okay. So people talk about energetic cords, and I was taught a lot about these, and many times they talk about cutting those cords.
Right.
I find that when energetically, when I would cut those cords, it's almost like a rubber band. Snap. It snaps back in your face.
Okay.
And right, because you've cut them off.
Yeah.
So basically, you've cut them off of their energy or their feeding tube or their
Right.
oxygen.
Right.
So what they're going to do is they're going to start to panic and they're going to grab onto
Oh.
you even harder
Oh,
to make
interesting.
sure you don't get away again,
Oh,
right?
wow. I never
Because
thought about
they're
that.
feeding off of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, this is not a, that sounds
It's
really
not
bad.
vampire-ish.
It's not vampire-ish.
It's
There are vampires, but those are very few. We all do it to each other, and it's very unconscious. Some
yeah.
people have just fallen into a bad habit more than
Yeah.
others. So
Yep.
it's just to be aware when we're doing it or when others are doing it to us. And once you start
Mm.
watching, you'll start noticing when you start hooking into others. That's when you want something from them. You're trying to get their attention. You want them to do something. So you're trying to really pull them towards you energetically. We'll do this a lot with our partners.
Yeah, I'm doing it with my son. I'm realizing, like, I think I'm doing that with my son right now. So it's almost, you almost have to catch yourself. Like, are you trying to get something from them? And if so, you may be creating an energetic hook.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so when we do this unhooking, we're going to do it both directions.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to stand up here so you can see because most of the time people hook into, I just figure they're hooking into your solar plexus.
Okay.
All right. This is the most common place. This is,
So
your,
solar plexus is just like the little tummy
so
area.
your solar plexus, let me just back up here so you can
Yeah.
see. So your solar plexus would be right here.
Okay.
Okay. Right above your belly button,
Hmm.
right below your chest.
Okay.
Okay. So I figure they hook into your solar plexus. They can hook anywhere into your body.
Hmm.
But if you can't feel that, and sometimes if we're just very quiet and we go in, we might be able to feel little tugs or little pulls, or it almost feels like energy is pouring out. Okay.
Hmm.
Sometimes it feels like somebody hooked into you with a fire hose and they're just
Right.
draining. Okay. So what I say is that you just unhook them.
Okay.
Okay. So you can do it visually in your mind. I like using my hands because I'm a very
Yes.
physical person.
Yes.
So I actually unhook them. It could be like a fish hook,
Right.
or it could be like a fire hose, unscrewing a fire hose.
Yes. Okay.
I unhook them and then I plug them into source.
Okay. Then I would
What I
plug them
consider
into
source
source.
or their higher self, right? I don't want to cross any boundaries. I don't know what they believe in. So
Right.
I don't want to cross any of those types of boundaries. So I want to plug them into their higher
Okay.
self that is connected to everything,
Okay.
their
So.
higher self that knows all.
Okay, and
Okay.
this would be irrespective of whether I sent that hook and intentionally, like, or someone sent a hook to me.
We're
What
going
would
to
you
do
do?
it both ways.
Okay.
You're always going to do it both ways. So usually what I do is first I unhook them from myself and I plug them into their higher self so they can get good, clean energy
Okay.
from the universe, right?
Okay.
And then I reach out to them and I, sorry, didn't mean to hook into you. I unplug myself from them,
Okay.
plug myself into source.
Okay. Got it. Interesting. Okay.
And what this does is it creates space in between you.
Yeah.
There's a saying with couples, may you be very close, but yet may the winds move between you. May there be
Mm-hmm.
space between you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of what it does. When you get into a power struggle with someone, this is exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're hooking into each other and you're wrestling for that energy.
Mm.
And what happens is if we're very conscious and we have respect for each other, then we want to give each other space so that we can step forward if we need to step forward and say something. We can step forward and make amends if there's something that we need to do. But when someone is right in your face energetically, you've got no space and you just feel like you're being pushed.
Yes.
So we want to create space. So that's what that
Mm-hmm.
does. You unhook, plug them into their higher self.
Right.
You unhook yourself from them and plug yourself into source
Right.
so that you can remember that you don't need to get into this energy struggle with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You have all that you need. You
Mm.
are always connected. You always have all the energy that you need. You don't need to, we're not suffering from a lack, although
Right.
our collective consciousness would tell us that.
Right. Yeah, so that and that you have all that you need because you're hooked up to source and so you have
Exactly.
energy. You know, when I learned the chords, I learned them called they were called Aqua chords, which was the Hawaiian version, and they were talking about chords that could be placed in all sorts of different configurations.
Yes.
Sometimes they would be, let's say I'd want to talk to my son heart to heart, I would actually, and maybe I was, was hooked up in my solar plexus, I would unhook, the part of me that was in the power struggle and hook it to my heart. Because like you said, some of these connections are natural and good, right? I mean, I don't want to, I guess I want wind between me, but do I want to be completely unhooked? I don't know. That's the question for you.
Right, right. I think that it's not
Excuse me.
like you are cutting them off in a
Hmm.
sense. What you're doing is you're giving them a broader energy source. Okay.
Okay.
And what happens with children is that they should automatically, and they do automatically feed off the energy of both of their parents as they're growing up.
Right.
Okay. They go through the actual feeding, the breastfeeding,
Right.
and then they continue to hook in and pull energy. When they hit their teens,
Hmm.
this is when you start getting this struggle. They're trying
Yes.
to unhook. You're both trying to unhook from each other. You don't know how to do it. Nobody's told you this is what's going on besides the hormones are raging.
Right.
And they're trying to find their independence and they're waffling back and forth.
Right.
And the parents are waffling back and
Yeah,
forth.
they're unhooking and hooking every 2 seconds. It makes you crazy.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. So even when you're unhooking them and connecting them to source, what you are is you're connecting them to their bigger self,
Hmm.
to their whole self, their full self.
Right.
So it's not like you're just cutting them off and telling them to go away. You're
Right.
saying, no, really, there is a big universe out there.
Right. Yeah.
This
So
is where
it's
you should be.
so
And
so
then you
you would
can
say it'd
create
be
what's
better to
healthy.
just connect them to source versus connecting you heart to heart or all those other things. That's kind of how I interpret
Yes,
it.
the heart to heart thing, I hear a lot of people talking about
Yeah.
that. I think that those heart to heart connections will naturally build themselves. I actually do feel a little hesitant to be plugging people into my heart.
I see.
Okay.
Okay, got
Because
it.
now they're plugged into my heart. They can pull heart energy. Basically, we're not that conscious yet. To
Oh,
not be able to send daggers sometimes, to not be able to send things. So to actually just plug somebody into my heart right there, um, to me feels a little too intense, a little
ah,
too open. I want to be connected and I can build that connection naturally, but I'm not sure that I want to totally plug into them, even if they were my child.
okay,
Because I want to build a healthy connection,
right.
not have them plug in. I want it to naturally build a
But
bridge.
then if you're naturally building a bridge, I mean, you would see the connection between child and, I mean, you would naturally see it. I'm
Yes.
saying that if you do naturally see it, so let's say that I'm not sending hooks like, "Ma, I want you to love me," and sending a hook, but there's a natural connection between, my husband and myself or my
Yeah,
kids and myself.
yeah,
That I would think is normal
exactly,
and good. You're just
exactly,
saying if I'm kind of like, "I want you to love me more. I'm gonna, send a," it's like sending a hook is very different than the natural hooks that exist between people.
exactly, exactly. Like I
Okay.
say, there was healthy energy, healthy cords or
Yes.
connections between people. Absolutely. And
Okay,
those
good.
usually are heartfelt.
Yeah.
When they hook into different areas, and when you're feeling, like I say, the power struggle,
Yes.
when you're feeling that you can't breathe,
Yeah.
when you're feeling that you've got no space,
Yes.
probably hooking into each other. And that's why every time I do that, it's not, I figure I am as much, we are all doing the same thing. That's why it goes both ways.
Yes.
And if I think that somebody is hooked into me, I have probably also gotten hooked into them when just my thought pattern said, dang it, you always do this to me.
Right.
Right there,
Hook.
I've hooked
Yeah.
into them.
Yes.
So I want to also, keep creating space for healthy chords.
Okay, and so tell me again, that was called Unhook
Unhook and
and the
connect.
Hook and Connect. Okay, now one of the
And that you
things.
can actually find on my website.
Okay, good. Now, the other thing I wanted to know is that, oftentimes as you can tell, I'm just an energy sponge. And I think there are a lot of other
Yes.
people who are probably listening to the show that are very energetically sensitive too. Tell us a little bit about what folks that are kind of calibrated this way, what we can do to kind of protect ourselves and have a healthy exchange with other people.
Exactly. The energy sponge. I'm one of those too. I'm from the sponge clan, is what I call it. Some people are more air.
Yeah.
Some people are more sponge. We just absorb everything around us. And it seems that we don't have as thick of filters or a
Mm-hmm.
buffer zone, a natural buffer zone.
Mm-hmm.
This is a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
It can be one of your greatest assets because you receive more information from other people. You receive more information from your surroundings. We're generally very empathic. We have
Mm-hmm.
great intuition on issues and things like that. We know a lot of things and get a lot of extra information. But with that comes a lot of extra, probably an unwanted energy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're a human sponge or when you absorb a lot of this, many times what happens is we're actually absorbing it into our bodies. And then we start having
Yuck.
physical ailments. Yes. And so sometimes when I touch people, they actually feel very thick, almost like a sodden log wood, very
Mm-hmm.
dense and
Yeah.
spongy.
Yeah.
That to me is indicative of someone who has kept absorbing energy that's not theirs, and it layers on their body, and pretty soon it starts weighing them down.
Interesting.
Okay.
So you said
Yeah.
it feels like so is this when you empathically, or do you do healing work as well? Is that what you mean when you touch them?
I do healing work, yes. And many times, sometimes I can do it remotely or I can do it personally.
Ah, so you
So
could
when
touch someone's energy field and it
I can touch
feels.
someone's energy field and I'll actually touch different parts of their body and see how that feels, how that energy feels. And if it
Oh.
feels very thick and dense and mucky, generally it's not their stuff. People say, "Oh, I'm blocked." Usually it's because we've been picking up a lot of stuff from our environment and we didn't know it.
Okay.
And so one of
Interesting.
the ways that really helps to deal with that
Hmm.
is to actually take salt baths.
Oh, Epsom salt baths.
Well, actually, sea salt baths.
Sea salt baths. Okay.
Yes, what I found is that Epsom salts are very good for the physical being in that minor aches and sores,
Yeah.
muscles, things like that. And that's what it's
Yes.
usually used for. Sea salts really work on an energetic field. What they
Hmm.
do is they break up the energy that's not yours and they release it from your body.
Hmm.
And I found that dead sea salts tend to work more on a spiritual plane of cleaning up your spiritual
Ah.
junk
Yeah.
in your aura.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
so you can play with that, and I always invite people to use their own intuition.
Yeah.
Don't take anything that I say as truth. Go home, try it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
really soak in a sea salt bath. And that just means taking a cup, 1 cup of sea salts. You can buy them bulk in
In
your
your
bulk
full
store.
bath, that's it?
Yeah, just a cup in your whole bath. You can also put in your Epsom salts if you want. Put in essential oils
Yeah.
lots of essential oils. Frankincense is very good for cutting energy. So is sage, clary sage. A lot of
Oh,
people
those are
hear about
nice.
burning sage or smudging their homes to clear their
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah.
You can use the essential oil of sage to help to clear your body.
Hmm.
Okay, so you can make this bath. And usually, what I suggest with my
Do you rinse
clients,
off afterwards? Because you probably have a little salty film on top
yes,
of
you
you.
can
Yeah.
rinse off afterwards. Yeah,
Right.
just yeah,
It's
turn on
not
the
like you're
shower
going to
real
rinse off
quick
all
and
the
take a
protection.
Right. It's kind of like it's not as salty as the sea,
Yeah.
but yes, it is a little salty, so you can do a rinse.
Yeah.
And when you do that, before you unplug the tub, okay? So if you do that, you put the salts in your bath, the other things that you want, you soak for however long you'd like, and you can think about allowing the energy, releasing the energy and watching it just break off your body and move into the water. The water is recording it and pulling that out of your body.
Mm,
So now that unbalanced energy that you've picked up from the world and others is in the bath water.
right.
When we release the bath water, we just don't want to dump that unbalanced energy onto the earth. So what it's like we already dump enough garbage into the
Yeah.
earth, right? Let's clean it up before we dump it.
Yes.
So all I suggest is that you just lay your hand on the water and give it a moment of thanks and gratitude for
Yeah.
all that it's done for you
Yeah.
before you pull the plug.
Right.
And that will
Okay.
help to shift the energy back to a higher frequency before it goes into the sewers. And now we've got a high frequency water moving down the sewers and helping to lighten that load too.
That's nice. That's a
Mhm.
nice idea. I like the idea of that too. I mean, it's a one. I'm always trying to come up with excuses for taking baths, and that's kind of a nice one.
Oh, that's it.
It's like an indulgent kind of, not indulgent, it's just such a nice pleasure to be sitting in a nice hot bath. Now, I do stuff like sage, where I take the
Yeah,
sage and I've done clearing via Tibetan bells
sure,
and
sure.
do you think all of them work equally well, or are there certain types of things that work better for certain types of energy clearing? I have sprays. I have like an arsenal. I have a little kit of little energy clearing. When you're a sensitive advisor, you have all these kits. What do you find certain things are better for certain types of clearing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I find, let's go ahead, let's talk about sage for a moment.
Okay.
It's very common that we use sages to clean our homes, clean our offices.
Hmm.
And I love sage. The problem that I have with sage, or not the problem, we can do better than that.
Okay.
What I've found with sage for me is that it only clears a certain frequency, a certain bandwidth of
Mm.
energy.
Hmm.
And there are many energies beyond those bandwidths that also need
Mm.
clearing.
Hmm.
So I look beyond just sage many times.
Hmm.
Um, the thing also with sage is that it's smoky
Hmm.
and it burns in your home, right? And now you have to air out your home, which is great. You want to open up your windows,
Right.
let out that old energy. But now you have that. It can also flake off hot burning ashes.
Hmm.
So a
Yes, I
lot of times
know.
I can tell when people have been burning sage or they sage because there's usually some burns someplace.
Yes.
Times on their couches or their furniture.
Yeah.
And if you have an office and it's hermetically sealed or in an office building, you cannot clear it with sage. So now you do.
Oh.
So that's where the clearing sprays come in. Like you said, you have
Hmm.
clearing sprays.
Hmm.
And this is where it's important to find a clearing spray that addresses a lot of different levels.
Hmm.
Okay? You could take one that just has sage oil in it.
Hmm.
Now there are
Uh-huh.
also two sages, sage oils. There's something called clary sage, which
Hmm.
is very good on an emotional basis.
Hmm.
But it's sage officinalis, which actually is the one who is known as sage the savior, who
Ah.
cuts through energy. And I
Ah.
found this out in an interesting way because I had the same exact experience you did. I
Hmm.
was highly sensitive. I tried all these products. I
Yeah.
kept trying to clear my fields. I couldn't figure out what
Yes.
was going on. And finally, I actually made up my own products for myself and my clients.
Ah.
That actually, again, you can find that on my website. I'm not
Yeah.
here to sell that, but
Right.
I want you to know that there are things out there. So when you look for things that contain more than one thing. Okay.
Ah. Okay.
Because different essential oils or different things, let's say you can use gemstones.
Hmm.
I use homeopathics. There are
Hmm.
homeopathics that will break up different energies.
Hmm.
So you can use homeopathics, something that has a lot of um, different ingredients.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I,
So,
I like the whole idea of sprays and such because the one that I have the hardest is going into a hotel room that I've never been
yes,
in,
yes,
and then it can ruin a vacation. Like the whole family is funked out as a result of being in this funky, weird energy, and
yes.
I'm like, "Ah, why don't I remember to clear out the room immediately? But what do you do in those cases? Do you use the spray or the
I actually do use a spray. I actually
yeah,
travel with one if I
yeah,
can.
and you
If
just
you
spray it
don't
around?
have it, that's fine. We can use
Yeah,
other things. But yes, I actually do purposefully travel with sprays
yeah.
so that I can clear out the hotels. Hotels are notorious for it. The other thing that can really help with highly sensitive people is you bring your own pillow or your own pillowcase.
Ah, you're right.
What I found is
Oh.
that I pick up the dreams of
Oh
the
my.
people who have slept on those
Oh
mattresses.
no.
I kept wondering, why am I having these weird dreams? These
I
are
wonder
not
if
my
I've
normal
I bet
dreams.
I've done that too. I've had dreams where so or you could just if you forget the pillowcase, you're going
Sure.
on an international flight, you can't bring a gigantic pillow. You could
Right.
actually
No,
just spray the oils onto the pillow. I didn't even think about it. So you basically want to take you want to spray any because the sprays are expensive too, but I assume that you want to spray in the areas where those people may have been lying down or in
right.
physical
What I would,
proximity.
yeah, yeah. What I would do is if I had a spray, what I would do is I would actually spray it around the room.
Hmm.
Okay. Because stagnant energy tends to collect in upper corners of rooms. Just like
Mm.
our dust bunnies, our heavy physical bunnies collect in the lower corners of our house underneath the furniture.
Ah,
The
yes,
dust bunnies connect in the upper corners.
yes.
So I would clear that out to make sure that I get good circulation and try and open up those hotel windows if I can, for
Interesting.
sure. If I can't, I would also even pull down the bed covers and just give a light spray through the bed and over the pillowcases. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay,
And when I
good.
travel internationally, I actually do bring a pillowcase.
You do? Yeah, that makes sense.
I do.
Yeah.
I just find that it actually works really good because it's already resonating to my frequency. So it
Yeah.
kind of overrides the other frequencies around.
Yeah. God, what's that's really interesting. And then for bells, do you ever do I've seen people doing rattles, shamanic rattles, and I've seen them clear stuff with car keys. I've seen
Sure.
people clear things with Tibetan bells. Do you have any thought? What energy, if sage is at this frequency, are those bells kind of larger bandwidth, or it kind of depends on the tone, or how does that work?
Bells usually what the bell is doing is it's breaking up energy. Okay, so you've got this stagnant cluster of
Right.
thought patterns. Let's just say call energy thought patterns. That's generally what they are.
Yeah.
They're thought patterns of somebody, or somebody's been emanating these thought patterns, and these
Right.
thought patterns have been left behind in the furniture, on the walls, in the area. So, what bells, car keys, clapping,
Hmm.
singing, all
Hmm.
of those things, what they do is sharp noises tend to break up the energy. So, it like breaks it up so that now it's dispersed. Okay,
Okay.
so it
Yeah.
can more easily clear. So you get these heavy, solid wads of energy, let's say,
Yeah.
and now you break them up with a sharp noise. And this is where the
Ah.
Tibetan bowl or the Tibetan bells, the clapping, those types of things come in. The car keys, those are all
Ah.
sharp noises. And what they're doing is they're breaking the energy up so it can more readily move out.
Ah, interesting. And then the idea is to, like you said, you would open windows so the air can kind of move it out. But if
Exactly.
you're in a room that's hermetically sealed, like an office building, how does one move the energy around? Do you
Well,
just,
that's where breaking it up is really important, right?
so it
Because it's
just
going to be a
falls in?
little bit harder to clear it out. So you
Yeah.
want to break it up to break it out of its configuration. Okay,
Hmm.
break it out of its frequency that it's used
Hmm.
to, which is probably a very low vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
So you want to break it out of that. So that will help there. Also, some of these sprays you can use that are very light scented. You want
Hmm.
to get one that's light scented. You could also use salt water. Get a
Hmm.
spray bottle, put a little salt water in it. If you can use no essential oils or anything else in your office,
Yeah.
use salt water, maybe put some homeopathics in there,
Yeah.
things that don't smell, some gem essences, things that hold very high frequency. Drop a crystal in the
Right.
bottom of your bottle. So when you
Yeah.
shake it up, it's got the
Ah,
little
that's a
BB
good
in there, right? It's
idea.
shaking it up.
Yeah.
And spray
I
that.
don't know what a homeopathic means. What does that mean?
Homeopathics are they're energetic medicine. Um,
Ah.
They usually, you can find them in places like Whole Foods,
Hmm.
places like that. They usually come in little tiny blue bottles, and there'll
Oh.
be little BBs that look like just sugar pills. Okay,
Oh
what a
my goodness.
homeopathic actually is you take an energy signature from one object
Hmm.
and you move it onto another object.
Hmm.
That's really what homeopathy is doing. So you might have, let's say, in one of my sprays, I have the homeopathic of stinging nettle.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, it's also the philosophy that like cures like.
Hmm.
Okay. The hair of the dog that bit you.
Right.
Okay. It's that philosophy. So a homeopathic of stinging nettle. So now I wouldn't want to be in stinging nettle, but if there is some spiky stinging energy, I want to clear that. Okay. I
Hmm.
want to cure that.
Hmm.
So I might take that. What they do is they take the actual stinging nettle plant
Hmm.
and they dilute it.
Mm.
over and over and over again. They put it into water or into alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
and then they take out 1 milliliter of that alcohol and dilute it with with a 99 milliliters of water, and then they
Mm-hmm.
keep doing that. So if you run into a 30C homeopathic, it has been diluted 30 times, 1 to
Oh.
100.
Oh.
And when they look at that um, in chemistry, they will
Mm-hmm.
find none of the actual chemicals from the original plant
Hmm.
or object. It's not necessarily a plant, but most
Mm-hmm.
of them are the original plant. What it will have though is it will transfer its energy signature
Whoa.
so that now that homeopathic actually carries that signature and it can affect and cure stinging nettle. So if you fell into a patch of nettles, you
Yes.
would use uh, uh, stinging nettle in a homeopathic base to maybe cure
Because
your
it would
stinging
pull it
nettle.
out. Is that why? Because it would pull it out because like you said, like attracts like. Is that
Like
how?
attracts like, yes, and it's a very, very small dose, okay, of whatever is the big thing that you're having a problem with.
Yes.
It is a minute dose. It is just the energy signature. And for whatever reason, and there are lots of theories on this, I'm
Yeah.
sure, it tends to balance it
Wow,
out.
that's cool. I see. So homeopathic would be taking these distilled essences, and again, it's the idea of breaking up energy. So if you have different kind of, like you're saying, different potions of these homeopathics, or we can go to your website. Tell us your website if you want to go and buy
Sure.
some of yours.
My website is deweymeyer.com.
DEWEYMEYER.com.
Correct.
MEYER, yes, .com. Okay, good.
MEYER.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
you can go on there, you can read up about some of the products that I have. Like I say, wound up making my own products for
Yeah.
exactly these reasons and
Yeah, it's hard to
started
know.
researching them on what types of things should I put in to address all the different frequencies. Because again, I found sage was just not enough.
Yeah,
And I
interesting.
also designed, say bath salts because
Yeah,
I'm a sponge. So I
right.
needed to do something to help to shift that.
Yeah,
And my clients, I
yeah.
really designed it for them too.
So there's kind of a defense where it's basically putting that's more offense. Is there a defense tactic? So this is kind of like I'm
Yeah,
already entered a room and there's crazy energy here, psh, 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 wanding with sage. But
sure.
that's more offense. But what do you do? Or I guess is that more defense? I'm not sure what if it's offense or defense. But what do you do so you don't even pick those things up? I mean, how does one
Yeah.
protect themselves so they don't even pick that up?
The easiest way, really, is to keep yourself at high frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When we have low frequency thoughts, and what I would call low frequency thoughts are thoughts of I can't, I won't, I, our self esteem issues, depression, all of these kinds of things, or negativity, anger,
Mm-hmm.
resentments. When we're
Mm-hmm.
running those kind of thoughts, we are lowering our energetic vibration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then we start attracting all this stuff. You hear people say, why does this always happen to me? Well, of course, it
Mm.
always happens to you
Right.
because like attracts like.
Ah.
And so, if you are emanating that frequency, you are
Mm.
going to attract that frequency.
Right.
So, what happens is when you raise your frequency, you naturally repel
Mm-hmm.
or go into an offensive stance. You have such a high frequency that those low frequencies don't bother you.
Mm.
So what you want to do is, yes, you want to keep your mind in good shape. You want to getting back to nature is a great
Mm-hmm.
offense. Really keeping yourself balanced. Of course, making sure all the things that they talk about: enough
Mm-hmm.
sleep, enough water, enough
Mm-hmm.
exercise. But it really is keeping yourself in balance. So one of the things you can do, let's say in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to start your day. When you go into the shower, because I always have to attach these things to something I already do
Right.
because I'm not very disciplined.
Yeah.
So when you go into the shower, you can just stand underneath the shower head and feel that shower come down onto your crown chakra. This
Mm-hmm.
crown chakra is really one of the ones that is attached to the universe. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we receive a lot of energy, a lot of information through our crown, and also our third eye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our intuition.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of energy comes in through our crown. So when you're standing underneath the shower, you visualize that water as golden light just coming down and moving not only over your body, but through your body
Mm-hmm.
and touching all of your cells. And as light moves through, the dark must dissipate.
Mm.
And so you really lighten yourself up. You can always
Mm-hmm.
sing in the shower too, oh, what a beautiful morning,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Raise your frequency, to step out into the world on the right side of the bed.
Yeah.
There is definitely something to say about the saying, I've gotten up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Your whole day goes wrong.
Yeah. Well,
That's
you
what's
know,
happening.
I was just reading a book by a recent guest, and just simply he was saying it, just simply say, please vibrate myself at a higher frequency. So, I
Sure.
mean, it could be a affirmation, it could be your thoughts, it could be. I often do the white light, just kind of white
Yep.
light shining down as a way of changing the vibration. Um, yeah, I think that, and I think it's all the things you said, whether you're things that you're eating, all those kind of things help you vibrate at a higher energy. So I think that the thing that I always am curious about, and that I'm still not sure about, is I've talked to some folks who are like, oh, I put an energetic bubble, and then it's a permeating bottle, blah blah blah, blah, that they have that the whole process. This one gal that I talked to, she had three bubbles. She had a blue bubble all around her. She had a pearl shaped bubble and like another mirror underneath. And I was like, oh my God. You know, in some ways, I worry about that because I think, well, there's fundamentally, you have a lot of fear. So in these
Yes.
triple bubbles, I'm not sure what you're really projecting out to the universe. I mean, what do you think about those energetic bubbles that you read about?
Absolutely. I have tried the energetic bubbles
Yeah.
and they didn't work for me.
Huh.
And it also comes from a fear base. When we're in fear, we attract that kind of energy towards us.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important things you can do is stay out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in fear, it's a very low vibration. We are attracting low vibration energy.
Mm-hmm.
When you get out of fear, when you trust, when you know you're okay, all is well.
Mm.
I don't want to live in a bubble, right? I want to be out in the people, right? I want to communicate. I want to sit here and talk to you. I don't want to talk through
Right.
some bubble. I don't want to be
Right.
the bubble girl, you
Right.
know? So yeah, I had a hard time with that. And I've never been able to really grok that, because
Yeah.
it feels like I'm hiding behind something, which
Yeah.
means that I am afraid. And the
Yeah.
reality is I am not afraid.
Yeah.
I am a strong, empowered being.
Yeah.
And I have nothing really to fear but fear itself.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. If you don't tune into, and this is what the guest I had the other day said, if you don't tune into your divine self, which is completely safe and protected,
exactly.
you're going to be vibrating some other energy. The other ones I've had is people visualize their spirit guides like as like a little football team around them. They're the
You
quarterback.
can do that. You
But
can
it
do that.
seems to me that that's also projecting fear because why would you need a football team around you with your guides and the north, south, east, west guide calling your spirit animals? I mean, why would you need that unless
Right.
you had a fear, right?
Exactly. Exactly. The yeah, I absolutely agree with you, CJ. The fear stuff I really have a hard time with. And I
Yeah.
really, one of my goals is to really get people out of fear
Yeah.
because that is so harmful. And I have so many people who come to me and say, I'm afraid and all these energies are bothering me. And I'm like, okay, right there, we're going to have to work on you're okay, all is well,
Yeah.
and work on lightening up, letting go of some of these thought patterns that we are victims. We are not victims
Mm-hmm.
to anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when we stand in our divine light, there is nothing that we need to fear. All these other things are really to help us to stand in our divine light. You
Mm-hmm.
want to be aware of how energy works, but once you're aware, it's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Stand in your truth.
Yeah.
Stand in your light, stay connected to the highest energy source you can imagine. And when you're connected to that, there really is nothing to fear.
So even in the case of going into the hotel room, I mean, I can feel energies, but
Yeah.
and part of me is like, I just don't want to deal with it. You know, I don't want to deal with dealing with whatever energy has been left behind and unresolved
Yes.
by another person. I don't. I guess it's not fear, but I am trying to move away
It
from
gets
it.
annoying.
So a part of me goes, well, why if I just am vibrating at a higher energy, why would this bother me? To follow in your logic,
Sure.
why do I
Sure.
need the
Why would it?
sprays and the
You
sage
don't.
and such?
You don't need any of this. These are, no, it's true. But we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yeah.
And so we are on a physical plane. And while we're in this physical body, we have some physical ailments that just come along with being on this low frequency physical plane.
Hmm.
And that's where these tools come in. If you feel empowered by the tool, it's a good tool. If you're hiding behind it, that's not the right frame of mind. So
Mm.
you can take any sword and wield it for good or for bad. So
Right.
if you're using it because you're afraid, that's an issue. If
Right.
you're using it because you don't want to be in this space. Now, even if you're emanating really good energy, that doesn't mean that you won't read the energy signatures around you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I agree with you. Sometimes I'm just bothered by them.
Right.
And if they're bothersome enough, I will go to the front desk and say, "Excuse me, I need another room."
Right.
I'll just ask for what I want.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I just don't want to deal with it tonight.
Right.
It's not my job. Get somebody else to clean that up, right?
Right. Right.
But other times you're just in situations where that's just what it is.
Yeah.
If you have nothing else, stand out of that room and you start feeling that, and you start getting a little panicky, a little scared. Oh no,
Yeah.
here we go. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to stay in here right now. You got your fear up.
Right.
Okay. Go out of the room, take 3 deep breaths, connect to source, connect to the universe, feel that divine light, that divine connection, feel it in your heart, and then expand it out of your heart.
Mm.
And as you walk into that room, see a pathway of roses.
Mm-hmm.
And those roses are is a very high frequency flower, and that's why it's very much associated with Mother Mary.
Uh-huh.
And so you put those roses down. That will help to shift the energy before you even get into that room so you don't have to deal with it. It
Right.
clears the way before you get there. And if you are still feeling things in that room and you have nothing else, you can stand in the middle of that room, connected to source, and expand light from your heart out
Mm-hmm.
and watch it permeate the walls and watch the walls light up and watch the floor light up and watch the furniture glow.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're doing that, it's shifting all of that energy. This takes 60 seconds.
Right.
If you really want to work it at 3 minutes, you
Right.
shouldn't be doing any of this for more than 5 minutes. If you
Right.
are, you're doubting your power.
Ah, that's a really good point because I've had people where, and myself included, where I'm like, this room is funky, and I'm going around and saging things like a dozen times where I'm like, now I'm insane.
Right, right. That's when I say stop, step out, go breathe, come back in your power.
Yeah.
And it's the remembering you are a powerful being. You are connected to everything. You have nothing to fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately, we have nothing to fear. And we are absolutely connected to all the energy that we need and all the light that we need. And when you are standing in the light, dark cannot stand next to light.
Mm. Mm.
So, this is where, when we are in the light, the dark naturally dissipates. You don't have to worry about it. You're not trying to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're just standing in your radiant presence.
Yeah, I love it. And it makes a huge difference to even one of the things that I used to do is when I would be walking downtown and there are kind of people that would kind of freak me out, some drug addict walking down the street and I just didn't want to deal with it
Yeah,
and I didn't
yeah,
know I had my kids with me and I would just imagine a bubble and literally I actually have had
yeah.
people bounce off the bubble where they're like, "Whoa!" Like they're drunk and they're like walking into me and bouncing off of it. But it is approaching things from a state of fear, I think. The other thing that I notice is when I'm walking down the street and now I'm trying to just vibrate at a higher frequency because when you're with that person, it's giving them they're in the energetic field of that higher
Right.
frequency and something good could may happen to them, right? Just by being
Exactly.
around you if you're vibrating at that presence. So it's a really just different way of dealing with people, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like how we love that person that kind of glows like a sunshine.
Yeah,
We just want to stand next to them,
right.
right? Or you walk into the room and you see Grouchy Pants over in the corner and you're like, yeah, not going over
Right.
there. Because you can feel it a mile away.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing. So really, if we want to help people, and I used to do this on buses all the time.
Mm.
You get on a bus, right? There's a lot of different energies on public
Yeah. Oh,
buses.
absolutely.
And you get on there, and I would start to work on raising the frequency of the whole bus, of all
Oh,
the people in the
interesting.
bus. And I would actually see their crown chakra connected to their higher self. So I
Hmm.
would see a light beam connecting to their crown, bringing them light and energy, higher thought patterns, helping them to remember they're okay. There's
Right.
no point in having this argument in the back of the bus with your girlfriend,
Right.
or
Interesting.
whatever. And what I found is when I did that, and a lot of times I would also repeat a mantra, just as simple as peace to my universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I want people outside of me to stop doing what they're doing is so that I can have some serenity. That's it.
Right.
Why do I want other people to change? So I feel better, right? Otherwise,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if I'm okay in here, then it really doesn't matter what they do.
Yeah.
But you have to be okay within yourself no matter what they do. You can't
Right.
do it so to make them change because that'll never
Right.
work. The universe
No.
knows the difference.
Yeah.
But if I would keep myself in a peaceful state, so a lot of times I would just start repeating in my mind, peace to my universe, peace to my universe, peace to my
Yeah. I
universe,
like that.
and watch my cells quiet down. Then I'd watch the whole bus quiet down or the baby in the plane. I love working on the
I've done
baby
that
in the
before where
plane.
I'm like sending Reiki. I'm like, please, baby, be quiet. Just
Exactly,
sending
exactly.
Reiki.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm connecting that baby back to their higher self, back to their part of their spirit that knows that they're
Um,
okay, that everything is fine. And I'm
interesting.
connecting the mother also because they're feeding energy back and forth. And as the mother panics, the baby panics. And so I'm going to help connect both of them.
Do you feel like it's okay to do that? Because do you feel like you have permission to connect them to their higher source? Because that's kind of course, everyone would want to do that. Even, do you know what I mean? Because if you're
I
working with
totally know
someone's
what you mean.
energy, yeah,
This is why I always say connected to their higher self. I'm
higher
not
self.
connecting
Okay.
them to source. I'm not connecting them to
Ah,
God. I'm not connecting them to, Buddha. I don't know what they believe in. I don't know where they are.
right.
I'm just connecting them to that part of themselves that knows all.
Interesting. And
So
that's
it's I'm
this
not
thing
really
that's,
going outside of them per se. I
I
just
see.
want to help them remember you're a spiritual being. That's all I want you to remember. I don't care what you believe in this physical incarnation,
Right.
but remember you're okay.
Interesting.
That's all. That's all. Right. Because I agree with not crossing those boundaries. So
Yeah.
when I do remote work on people, I always check in with their soul to make sure
Mm,
it's okay. Because many times
yeah.
their mouth will say, yes, yes, I want this. And I may check in with their soul and they are not ready for it. They are not ready for the
Interesting.
work. They don't want it.
Yeah.
And it just gets reflected back. And it's
Mm,
actually, and then I'll let the person know, I just don't think you're quite ready for this work right now.
yeah.
And
Interesting.
and give them a few things to do, to help them, but their soul is not going to accept what I have
Yeah.
to give them.
Interesting. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the workshops that you're going to be teaching at East West Bookstore on Friday and Saturday. This Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. The workshop. So I'm really excited to teach these workshops this weekend because it's the beginning of the new year,
Yeah.
which means that the energies are really moving.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday night on the 20th, I'm going to do a lecture on Are These Feelings Really Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about taking on other people's emotions, how that
Mm-hmm.
happens, what that feels like, what you can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be an hour and a half lecture on that. That's
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock at East West Bookshop. On Saturday, the 21st, I'm going to be doing a workshop from 11 to 2, and it's called Clearing the Way for 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really about how do we clear the energy? Do we let go of the old stuff? How do we also shift energy before we allow it into our bodies?
Mm-hmm.
Before we, such as food. How do you shift energy from food? All the
Mm-hmm.
food you're buying from the store is carrying an energetic signature, not just of the food, but of everybody who's touched it.
Yeah, gross. I never
Right.
thought about it that
So,
way.
so clear it up.
Right.
This is why people pray over their food, right? What they're doing is
Oh.
they're just not, this isn't just for the religious. This is for the secular also.
Ah.
Bless, be grateful,
Yeah.
really. Be
Yeah.
grateful. So these kind of things to help clear the way on how we can move into 2015 very
Right.
clearly. And the 21st, this Saturday, also is astrologically in Western astrology, is a day of new beginnings.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes. It's a day
Yay.
of new beginnings, of moving out from old thinking patterns and moving into new thinking patterns. So
Okay.
that's going on Saturday the 21st from 11 to 2, clearing the
Mm-hmm.
way. And then from 3:30 to 7 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to be doing personal sessions for people. So
Okay.
if someone wants to come in, get some personal work, some hands-on work from me, work directly with them one-on-one. That's available
Got
to
it.
them
And what
while I'm
would
in
be the kind
Seattle.
of healing that you would do one on one? Because you've been talking a little bit about your client work where you're looking to
Right.
make sure that they're connected to their higher self, or what is, or
Well, one of the things is I work with their chakras, and I'm going to also be opening up people's chakras in the workshop on Saturday.
okay.
And then when people come to me personally, I'm going to go through their chakras one at a time, and we're going to look for leaks and blocks and drains, and we're going to help to shift that pattern for them to get their main energy system flowing the best it can,
Okay.
and work on specifically whatever are the issues that they're up against.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also be looking at them, to see what kind of energies they picked up in their bodies,
Hmm.
clearing that off of their bodies, helping to relieve the load. Because what I find is that when you get weighted down with too much weight,
Hmm.
even if you have these techniques, you keep
Yeah.
trying them and they don't work and they don't
Right.
work and you're like, I've tried all this stuff and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it's like you're on the floor. You can't get
Right.
up off the floor. You need somebody to kind of like pry you up off the floor.
Right.
And then once you're a little bit more buoyant, then these techniques become more useful. Then they
Ah.
work better. But if
Right.
you are too weighted down,
Right.
a lot of these techniques, you'll be struggling with them. Because I
Right.
was like, well, why don't these work? Or why do they for some times and not other times? So I really
Ah.
work with clearing off the old energy from the person, both physically and emotional energetics,
Hmm.
and then really getting their chakras back in balance.
Okay, so it sounds like it's very experiential. The one on Saturday sounds like, is it
The
mostly
one
just,
on Yes, the one on Friday night is a lecture. The one on Saturday is the workshop is experiential, but then the one-on-one is absolutely
yeah,
experiential.
yeah,
And you walk away, I make sure everyone goes home with techniques that are specific for them. And I
yeah.
put them in writing for them.
Oh,
Because I don't know
excellent.
about you, but when people come in for personal sessions or I go into someone else and they've got this great thing and I'm listening to them, I'm like, yeah, I'm on. Next morning I wake up and I'm like, I don't remember what they said.
That's exactly what happened.
I was like, how do I do that? Wait a
Oh,
second.
that's so
I really
nice.
had it at the time, but now I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah, because you're in an unconscious kind of higher level vibrating thing, and you don't,
Exactly.
your conscious mind isn't clicking in necessarily. So,
Yes.
excellent. Okay,
Yes. So
great.
I give people their techniques to actually take home that are specific to what we found at that
Yeah,
day, at that
yeah,
time. The
yeah,
next thing that will help them to move forward the
yeah.
fastest.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This is fantastic.
You are welcome.
Thank
I
you so
really enjoyed
much.
our time, CJ.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.